Do you guys remember, each of you, when you bought your first home and what that felt like the first time you became a property owner?
When we bought, like when I bought my first home
Yeah.
personally, yeah, sure. 1990, it was November 1998, Ocean City. I was, man, how old was I? So I think I was 28 at the time when I bought that in Ocean City. Ocean Mist, 9th and Atlantic. That was my first property. Yeah, that's, at the time I had the restaurant too, so it was just kind of one of those things where it was just, but yeah, that was the first time. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, I was actually in my very early 30s, and my experience was a disaster. To buy my first house, it was a disaster. Did not feel that I was well represented at all whatsoever by the agent that was involved. Felt like we got pretty screwed over, and ironically enough, shortly thereafter, my wife and I, my now wife and I, were working at the same company. The company closed the following year, and that's when I decided to get into real estate, because I said to myself, well, I enjoy real estate. I love being around everything I just said before. And if that person can do it, I think I can better the industry and get that person out of the industry, and because I can do a much better job than that person ever did.
Yeah.
That's a good testimonial. So you knew all the wrong things to do before you knew all the
Without
right
question. Yeah, and it was a disaster.
Wait, well, can you say any specifics about like what went wrong?
Well,
You don't have to throw an agent under the bus.
no, well, when the agent, when you're buying your first house and you don't necessarily know about the ins and outs of like inspections and all this other stuff, and that there's timelines on these things, and you turn to your agent and you say, what about the home inspection? And they're just like, oh, well, you didn't ask me about that, and you're way beyond your time that you can actually have one. But if you want one, you can have one. So we were literally looking over our home inspection report on our way to settlement. The agent double-ended the transaction, just to be clear. They also represented the seller, who they were friends with and they knew. So yeah, when certain inspections get passed because they've, like,
So do you guys think that like most agents are practicing a really good business and occasionally there's a bad egg, or is it like an industry where there's a lot of bad eggs and you guys are sort of like trying to stand out as like practicing a better practice? Like, what's the breakdown there?
it's a good industry.
Yeah, it's a good industry. Here's the thing.
doubt.
There are a tremendous amount of agents, and this is worldwide, I mean throughout the country. There is only a few that do the transactions though. So I think that, like, we always interact with our transactions. It's the same agents all the time.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, all of a sudden there'll be an agent that's like, it presents you with a deal, and that's okay. I mean, look, we have a team, I mean, and I think that, do we sometimes get leaned on to help with the transaction because maybe the other agent's new, or they really don't do a lot of transactions, they're part-time? Sure, but that's what we're here for. Like, that's why we have the team. That's why we do 100 plus transactions every single year, because it's just, we want to get the deal done as well for both sides. But I think that sometimes the misconception is all of these agents, like we have 1,200 agents in the Cape May County Multiple Listing Service. There's probably really there's less than 50% practicing. And then you take that number and you shrink it down even more of the agents that are the ones that are doing all the deals that we always seem to do deals with. So.